This is Finding Relevant Literature by Emma Griffiths. I found my 5 sources using EBSCOhost. I found one called Soul of the Machine by Lawrence Weschler, Finger Painting, which was published in the New York Times by a P. Villadas. Another article was Imagine Rembrandt with an iPad. Then there was an article found on Ad Hoc, The Expansion of Digitalism and the New Reality, retrieved February 19th. And then the final article was more of a magazine cutout, it seemed, than an actual peer-reviewed source saying, is digital art fine art? Just how mainstream has digital art become? I chose to work on Soul of the Machine by Lawrence Weschler. This article talks about the British artist David Hockney, who was the first to use the iPhone and the iPad to create digital paintings in the pursuit of fine art. As some of you may know, this is what my Eureka project is about. We are trying to translate a Studio Drawing 1 course into an online drawing course. And we're using the iPad and apps that Hockney used to facilitate this. In this article, it talks about the many kinds of technology that Hockney has used, such as when Polaroids came out, he made collages out of the Polaroid photos, and so on and so forth. And basically just all of the art-related instances in his career and his path. He has a book called Secret Knowledge, Rediscovering the Lost Techniques of Old Masters, where he argues that the masters of the Renaissance drew so well because they had visual tools and visual aids, which isn't cheating. The visual aids are not easy to work with. It's not like you're just tracing and you're getting your entire painting. You may trace a few lines and a few shapes, but you're still having to apply the paint and the pigment and get all the shadows and everything. So he did that for a while, and then he experimented with watercolor for a couple of years, and when he found a few compositions he liked, he decided to switch them to the canvas. So I'm not sure what paint he used for that, but he would mount multiple canvases and paint about 6 canvases at a time to create a massive scenery, and yet he called them figure paintings. And his joke or idea was that you are the figure. You're just walking into this painting and viewing it. Then he finally gets to the iPad and the iPhone. And there was one quote from this article that I liked, where he says, "People from the village come up and tease me. We hear you've started drawing on your telephone." And I tell them, well, no, actually. It's just that I occasionally speak on my sketchbook. That's pretty accurate of the way he views new technology. It's something to be used to his benefit. It's not just the intended purpose, which I think is what all, as artists, we're trying to achieve. I believe this article was a primary, as the author quoted conversations he had with Hockney and referenced the book and personal art endeavors in quite a bit of detail. The research question I would give this article is, how has technology influenced Hockney's artistic pursuits? I don't really think there were any sub-problems. I suppose you could view the different kinds of art as sub-problems, as he did go through many different stages. There was kind of an assumption in the article when it got to the visual aids. A camera Lucinda was mentioned, and a camera obscurer. And it's wasn't really explained very well. It was kind of assumed that the reader understood what that was. And I believe the camera obscurer was more like a dark room where there was a hole in the wall. And it's kind of like if you got a refrigerator box and punched a tiny hole, the light would peer in and you'd get a reflection of what's outside on one wall, and then you trace that onto a paper. The objective of this article was to understand the impact of technology in Hockney's artistic pursuits, and I think it did that pretty well. The last part of the article was talking about a more recent project of Hockney's where he mounts cameras on his Land Rover and drives around with them, and he's recording the same scene, but he's recording it at different angles. So that's his way of trying to get people to stop and take a minute to actually see what's around them instead of just moving through the day as they go, which is another thing we artists should be striving to do. So it was a pretty good article, 14 pages long, and I think they met their research question quite well. Thank you.